Hello. Good afternoon, good morning in Spain, because we haven't had lunch yet. That's the convention here. I'm going to talk about the invisible architect, and then you might be wondering, yeah, but what is, why invisible? How did he came up with this word? Well, actually, this word came from discussions with the former manager, where actually we were doing quite good in evolving with our architecture plans. Everything looked fine, actually everything was fine. And then we built a platform and everybody was contributing to architecture. So more or less, let's say things were progressing fine. But then he mentioned one thing. He said, I think you could be more visible. And that triggered me because actually what I was trying to do at that stage in the company was to become invisible. And yeah, that's how I came up with this idea of the invisible architect. So the agenda is going to be, as any other talk or book about architecture, we like defining software architecture because that's classic, right? Everyone has their own definition. So I will take a different approach today. I will do a data-driven approach. I scan the market, and then I put some information together about what people think that an architect is. And then I will also describe my idea. Then I will go through the journey of an invisible architect, which is first a visible landing, then second, becoming invisible, and then as a third act, you can vanish from the organization, or maybe not, if you have to pay your mortgage, for example. So what do you mean by architect? Well, I like using these three different classifications of architecture, even though you can find 1 million different definitions of architecture. This is very simple. Solutions architecture is something that you do specific for a customer or for a project. And then, of course, there is software design, documentation, everything around it, but the focus is typically on a customer or project. It's close to commercial, sales. Then we have software architecture, which is the most vague term, and that's classically around a project or a suite of services. It's something that people are trying to reuse for something, right? And then there is enterprise architecture, which is like the broadest scope, and it's about IT strategy, policies, governance, alignment with business, processes, yeah, or more kind of abstract things. So what did I do? Just for fun, well, not for fun, but for the sake of this talk as well, I went to LinkedIn, and then I randomly selected 10 job offers of architects. I promise you it was random. And then I classified the skills that they are asking into these three categories, but also I added two more that I know that they are asking in job offers. One is knowledge of programming languages, and the other one is management or leadership skills, on top of the soft skills that they are taking for granted, right? And then no need to read what I found. There are a few examples here. What I found is something that I already expected, is that these job offers are asking for kind of superheroes. They are asking for everything, deep knowledge of programming languages, cloud architecture, patterns, you have to know AWS or Microsoft Azure services in detail, infrastructure, you should coach other people, mentor, lead the developer teams. There is even one that says that you have to build a hiring plan and then drive the hiring plan, which is kind of striking. So there are things of solutions architecture, enterprise, software. There is a bit of everything. Sometimes there is a lot of everything. There is even one that they say that you have to have a stress tolerance, which I find useful, but a bit like not attracting candidates, but hey, they know better. If you look for a full stack developer as an architect, probably what you will get is a full stack developer as your architect, which is not good or bad. It depends on what your organization needs at the moment. And there are more things. Domain knowledge, alignment with business, building consensus. Java, Spring Boot, Kafka, it's a lot. So I've gone through interviews. I have to recognize here, even though I'm recorded, I lied in many times. I haven't done all the things that they ask. But it's during the interviews when you realize what the organization really wants. It's like they take some predefined job offer descriptions. Then you start talking to people and you understand, if you ask the proper questions, what they are asking for. And that's quite revealing. So in my opinion and in my experience, hiring architects is broken because in the job offer, they are detailing a solution, a kind of a stereotype of a person that is expert in technical skills, in facilitation, in a bit of everything. In my experience, what I found in the interviews is that you'll get to know much better what they ask. So what's the problem here is either that they don't want to be transparent to the public about the challenges that they have, the problems, the opportunities perhaps. Maybe they don't know what they need. Still someone recommended them to hire an architect. It is sad, but it happens a lot. Or there is misalignment, and I have a stereotype here, that is that the business person is saying, well, these technical people, they are lazy, this is not working fine. We need a person that will govern them, and somehow we can talk to this person in business terms, and this person can be our proxy, so we don't need to deal with these technical people. And then when you ask the technical people, they will say, we don't have proper requirements, there is no vision, there is, the classic separation between business and technology. So eventually, people hire an architect. Why? Not many people know. Then there can be like different end results. They find a superhero, maybe someone who was good in the interview at saying that they are good at everything. And then there are two possible outcomes here. One, they depend on whether the expectations or the constraints for this person are very well defined. If this person has very well-defined scope of what to do, this ends up in a success story. So the technical people, they will be happy. Business people will be happy. The problem here is the bus factor is 1. So this person is becoming essential. The bus factor is how many people a bus can run over, and the company still works fine. This person becomes really essential. So that's a red flag in that case. The second case can be the same profile. They know a bit of everything in this situation, but then they have more like open. There are no strict rules, so this person can decide to, okay, let's try to spread the architecture and build a community and try to empower people to actually participate in architecture, which is about what I'm going to talk today. And then this relaxes a bit the bus factor. So this means that instead of being one essential person, there might be 8 or 10 people, which is much better. But now let's go for the interesting ones, or for the stereotype, that these ones are quite interesting as well. Then they hire a technical person in the organization because actually that's what they were asking for, right? With all these programming languages and cloud knowledge. And the difference is, again, the expectations. If there are very well-defined expectations, that is a different flavor from the previous one. So it can end in success, with business people being happy, but the developers are considered coding monkeys. Like, this person is designing everything and telling everybody how things should be on the technical side. And then everybody needs to ask this person what to do, and then it becomes a bottleneck, but also a kind of dictatorship on the technical side. And it ends up with the organization missing talent, because people feeling like they are coding monkeys, sometimes that the best people will leave because they want to actually contribute to design, to software design, to architecture. The second variant of this is you hire a very technical profile, and you don't actually define very well what they should do. And this is also a stereotype, because this ends in typically a technical party. And that means that on the technical side, developers can be quite happy because they have 5 microservices per developer, polyglot microservices. They introduced blockchain because that was cool, AI agents, you name it, everything. But business people are not going to be happy about it. And then this also translates into business and technology being quite distant. I have 2 more cases. One is that you hire a theoretical person, a person who knows every cloud pattern, they read a lot of books, they know everything, but they are not hands-on. They are really theoretical. So they go there, they will start creating a lot of documents that nobody will read. They have a perfect plan, they create a PowerPoint, they present it to business, and business people and management, they are confused, like, okay, this is cool, but why are we not here? And then they have no plans. They say, no, this is the target. I don't know actually how the system looks like, but this is what we need to build. And that's their plan. You could take that plan and take it to every organization, because it's so abstract and so based on books that it could work in everywhere. And then you have the last one, which is that you hire kind of a manager profile. And yeah, this one is a bit funny because in the job offer, you were actually asking as well for leadership skills and management and hiring plans. So you attract this person, expectations are again irrelevant. That leads to fast decisions, which everybody likes, fast decisions. But in this case, in the stereotype case, 80-90% of decisions will be wrong because these people don't ask other people what they think about technical alternatives and whatnot. Of course, it's a stereotype. I don't want to offend anyone. And this also causes some management conflicts because there is a hidden manager. This architect is telling technical people what to do, but there is actually the real management structure that is working a bit in conflict with this hierarchy. So yeah, that's how can we find what we say in Spanish, the mirlo blanco, the white blackbird. The reality is that this person or this profile is not a superhero. It's just someone who is serving as a glue or trying to fill the gap that the organization needs to fill. So the real superpowers are, they need to identify what's the problem, what's the challenge, and that means that they need to distill a bit the job offer after they land and see what's needed there. Then that person or people, they need to fill the gaps. And because this role or this skill set is so broad, the best way to do this is to use the people that are already in the organization. Because what I find a lot is that the job offer for an architect is sometimes very offensive for the people that they work in the organization. Because they look at that and say, I could do that on the technical side, so why can I not be the architect? And that's true, so it's kind of a different skill set. So the superpower is to find these people and to make them work as a collective intelligence, right? And then empower people to do instead of that person doing on their own. And this is the Bruce Lee philosophy that, if you remember, the famous, you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle, you put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. So you put the architect into an organization and then that person becomes the holes, right? Because it will fill the holes. So be water, my friend. In the journey of the invisible architect, a bit counterintuitive, it's the first thing is they need to do visible landing. Visible landing is a set of very obvious things that yet nobody does, or not let's say not the majority of people work on. So the first thing that an architect needs to do is to observe and listen. It's not coming with plans and then blaming everybody for how bad the system looks like or how bad the technical plans are. They sit and listen, and then they ask, they start bothering people and collect something really key for the organization, the goals of the organization. Where is the money? Where are the customers? Are we expanding to multiple countries? What do you want to do in the organization? What are your goals in 3 months, in 1 year? They should be somewhere. If they are not anywhere, then these people have to push and to bother other people to put them in paper, because it's important to have them documented. Not a long document, just short sentences. These are our goals. Then on the second layer, after the organization has goals, it's like, okay, I want to make a 1 million euro this year selling this product. Okay, fine. Then the second level is, what is the product? What is the vision of that product? How does it look like? How are you planning to make 1 million or to expand to this many customers? These are necessary inputs for the architect, for the technical plans. Then you collect the existing architecture vision, if there is any. It can be that it's a mess or it's completely unrealistic, whatever. But don't judge it. Just read it or ask people to tell it to you, and then you try to understand the constraints behind it, why this has been created like that. How are the plans going? Is it in progress? Is it just a wish list, or what does it look like? Number 4, very important as well, but many times missing, the current system overview. So your system at the moment, how does it look like? What are the different actors that are interacting with your system, in which flows? And then how does your system connect to other systems or platforms? Very high level. You can use a C4 model. You can use any other ad hoc diagram. Don't need to go into details. Just explain in a way that all audiences can understand. Don't go technical. Just make it clear, like, hey, we are here. And then you add there some notes on how your current system is preventing the organization from achieving their business goals, or what are the opportunities. Maybe you have a monolith, then you draw one box and you add some sticky notes, and you say, hey, this one box, we are 10 teams working on this one box, so it's slow, and I have this data that proves it. So you have to highlight how your current system is helping or not helping commonly to achieving the goals or to align with the product vision. So this is all inputs, and then it's collecting information. It won't take more than 2 weeks, perhaps, well, unless the organization goals are not clear, then that's a different problem. But then you will collect a lot of information that you can use. This is pure gold. Then you start co-creating with other people, with the people in the organization that are very brilliant on the technical side or on the product side, and then you start talking to these people and you build the architecture vision or the technology vision, you name it. Something that will be, we are in point A and we want to go to point B, because B is what will make our organization succeed. So it will bring the organization goals or the product vision. So you want to go from A to B, and you need more things than A and B, which is something that sometimes people stop at creating B. You need principles and guidelines. What are principles and guidelines? It's the lane that you are drawing to get in the direction from A to B. So you don't want people to go from A to B like this. You want them to go more or less like this. It will never be straight, but you have to set some boundaries. Otherwise, it will be crazy. So are you going to focus on security, because security is really important for you? Or are you focused on availability or reliability? And then you write like simple sentences that are pointing people to what are the technical focus of the organization and how they align with the plans of the organization. And then again, if you want to move from A to B, you need a plan to move from A to B. It's one of the hardest things in organizations, in software, is the classic story of you have a refactoring that you need to do, and hey, this is massive. Nobody knows where to start, so it never happens. Basically, because people ask for, hey, how long this would take? I don't know. We need 1 year, 2 teams. And then, yeah, good luck with that. Or we need a spike, 1 month, and then later, yeah, we will see. That's really complicated to execute. So you need an actionable plan as well. And then for this invisible architect, they can already settle the foundations of decentralized ways of working. So they can start building the rules of, okay, let's have an architecture forum or an architecture community. Let's have some sync-ups with people so we can get to know what's going on the business side, on product, and then you can have ADRs as well. So you start creating these foundations and giving a space to people to participate. Then the third part after you land is gain influence. So you need to start talking to people. So this looks a bit obvious, but again, it doesn't happen that much. So architects, they start making interviews with people and then getting to know, okay, what's going on, what are your pain points, how we should fix these pain points on the technical side, and then you organize sync-ups with these people, have fluent communication with these people. Everybody in the organization, well, not really. It depends on the organization. You can have commercial, product, of course, developers, and then you can have even human resources if they are setting the objectives of the technical people, for example. Then you share all the materials that you collected in the previous stage, the existing challenges, the plans, the decentralized ways of working, and you try to convince them that these are good plans and good ideas. Okay, let's go for decentralized architecture. Why? Well, because I think it will bring better engagement across people. They will actually create a better design because they are the ones that know how things are done. So you could say that this is politics, and maybe you're right, because this is part of politics, but not really, because you're opening communication channels. And also, I don't think it's politics in the sense that you don't need to convince others to like you. Maybe they don't like you or you don't like them, but that's fine. That's it's work. We need to have these communication channels with these people, exchange knowledge, pain points, and then see how we can make things move forward for the sake of the organization achieving their goals. So after the visible landing, the invisible architect tries to become invisible. There are two different sets of requirements for this person to become invisible. One is on the organization. The organization needs to buy that decentralized architecture is good. And then after they are convinced, they have to be explicit about it. They need to say, hey, people can participate in architecture. We are expecting people to participate in architecture. Sometimes this doesn't happen magically. So in some organizations, what I've seen is that they need to say a percentage. So, hey, you can participate in architecture up to a 10% per week. Not my preference, but if it works, it works. So sometimes I've seen that working as well. And then it's always a learning process. If it's not working for the organization, they should observe and adjust together with the invisible architect. From people, what do they need? To participate in this community, what they need is motivation, so they are interested in participating in architecture, learning, and they need to invest the time. Even in cases where the organization has given time to people, I've seen in the past that people are not investing that time because they like coding or they like doing other things. They don't like to be in a meeting for 3 hours staring at a blank canvas and co-creating a diagram, and they feel completely unproductive. And to me, that it is productive after you have the diagram, but I can understand that for some people it's difficult. So they need the motivation, they need to invest the time, and then soft skills and technical expertise, they are things that they can learn. And also, ideally in the community, you have a good variety of soft skills and technical knowledge. You have people that are very technical, but they are not able to create a PowerPoint. You will have other people that are very good at facilitating, but are not that much technical. That's fine. You need every profile here as well. Then, as I have said, the becoming invisible part is about having this community. You will see who becomes more proactive and who is not. And then you will identify these people, ideally organically, that they participate in architecture. Then you, as an invisible architect, you start delegating some tasks and empowering people to do them. Like, hey, for this new product or this domain, why don't you create the domain design? I can help you, and then you co-create or you empower people to do this. If you are going for ADRs, which I totally recommend, you can let others make decisions, but they should feel accountable for them as well. So if there is someone that comes up with the decision of hey, let's go for polyglot microservices. You see, I'm probably not a fan. Then they should explain the pros and the cons and how that aligns with your plan from going to A to B. If that doesn't align, then you, as an architect, the magic here is that you don't even need to be the first to review that ADR. Other people will start telling that person, like, hey, I don't think that this goes in the direction that we have created. And that's when you see that this is working. And then the last one is get sick, or even better, you go on vacation, and then you don't cancel anything. So the architecture community is still happening. The sync ups with other people are still happening. And of course, people will not just volunteer themselves. That's not something I've seen in the past. But then you start talking to people that you have seen they are more proactive, and you say, hey, would you like to facilitate the next forum? Even if they don't feel in their comfort zone, you say, hey, nothing will happen if you make mistakes there. So just try to learn, facilitating, doing things. And this works. So I can tell you, because I've been doing this for a while, the people will start stepping up and doing things, facilitating these kind of ceremonies without you as well. Of course, it's not like a silver bullet, the centralized architecture and being an invisible architect. What I found in my experience, number one is low engagement, especially at the beginning. You start asking people, like, hey, do you want to participate in architecture? And you don't know why, but even with the explicit support from the organization, they don't take the time. And then that's a hard work, because then you need to go to people and individually try to feel what's going on. Maybe people are too busy in the teams, and even if they have the time and the interest, they don't want to invest the time. Or maybe they don't feel that they have the expertise to participate in the architecture. So it's a bit of everything. You have to engage people a bit. Second one is anarchy. There are always people that they will see the centralized architecture. Can you hear me? Okay. Or they will see an invisible architect as a possibility to do whatever they want. But then again, this is about talking to people, like, hey, we have a direction. It's not that you can do whatever you want. You have to go according to the plan. There might be a slow decision making, but this one is very easy to fix. Whenever you go for a decision, you set a timeline, and everybody should know the timeline. So when you propose something, you want people to come up with a decision. You say, in 1 week, we should have reviewed this. Everyone with a strong opinion should have left their strong opinion. Then we have an ad hoc session if that's needed. Then in 2 weeks, we go for whatever decision is the one more aligned, or the one that is actually the best for the organization. And again, it's learning. It's not like a set of things that you apply and they will eventually work. It needs to be adapted depending on the culture of the organization and how things are going. So, in the last act, you vanish, and or maybe you don't. So, can you make yourself redundant? The biggest challenges that I have found are you talk to a lot of people, so you have an overall picture that nobody else has in the organization. That's true, but the community, if they are participating in a good level, they could actually compose the same knowledge by getting together. And someone can also step up if someone needs the overall picture to be kind of a proxy for the organization. People get used to facilitation because, let's assume it, this person is doing a lot of assistant work, organizing meetings, looking at the agendas to see when this meeting can be organized. Let's have a follow-up. Let's take the meeting notes. So people get used to this, and they see that as, that's not nice. So then if you are doing this, they will not want to do this. Sometimes in the organizations you find people who are happy doing this. That's really cool. And then these people can replace you in that sense. Otherwise, again, it's a matter of the community replacing you as a whole with rotation or something like that. If you would really leave the organization, there will be always people in the organization that they believe that central governance is much better. So then the moment that there is a gap, these people can go and fill the gap with the dictatorship style. Depending on the organization, that might be good or bad. I'm not saying that central governance is bad. It depends on the situation of the organization. But if it is only because there were strong opinions against it, yeah, then that's not a nice situation. Or the same people that were anarchists before, just doing whatever they like, they could again become spontaneously anarchist after the architect leaves. So yeah, there is a risk that that some of these things happen. So if you decide to stay, which I think it's a good choice actually, not you become, your set of tasks that you have during the day, they can change a lot from the ones that you started doing at the beginning. You become a facilitator, kind of part of that is being an assistant, organizing meetings, whatnot. You enable people with visuals. This is something that is very powerful. So even if you don't need to make the decisions, if you have the overall picture, you can create diagrams, you can create visualizations that they are maps for people to find the best way to go from one way to the other, but you don't need to point them into a strong opinion about the decision. You just provide the visuals. You can be also the last resort decision maker, which means that if there is a major disagreement or there is something that you know that is going against the direction of the organization and nobody else has seen this before, then you can use your card to say, hey, look, this is actually not a good idea. And then you are accountable for that, of course, as well. And you also become an influencer and a rudder, in the sense that you're talking to so many people that it's not that you are trying to manipulate people, but you can pass the message in a different language. So if you know about the technical stuff and then you need to talk to business about why refactoring a module is a good idea because it has a big technical depth, then you can sell it to them in a language that they understand, within the context that they will also understand, because you know other priorities of the organization, so that's also quite powerful. And as a radar, you can also tell people what's coming, and again, using the different languages. So, the recap. What are the invisible architects? Well, they are a weird profile, let's say, that it's joining an organization. Now at this point, you might be thinking, I think that you are calling them invisible architects, but I'm doing that, and I'm a profile X. Maybe you are a senior developer, or you are an engineering manager, and then you say, actually, that's what I do for life. Well, that's fine. Then that's again the challenge with having a so vaguely defined job role, like the architect, right? It can be covered also by other people. So these people join the organization with a set of skills that are not, they are more expert than the most expert engineers in the organization. They also don't have like the better communication skills. They have seen things and they apply their knowledge there, but they could be just simply communicators and facilitators as well. So how they apply the centralized architecture, there are tools for that. I will share a few tools with you now, so you can you can check later. There are things like how to organize these interviews with your stakeholders, or how to create the current state of the system, or how to get to the architecture vision, how to do the plans. All these things are, you have a lot of tools that you can apply out there. You don't have to invent your own thing. Well, actually, if you even want to invent your own thing, if you are going to do that, that would be actually cool, because then you might find also your own way to do it better. And then why would you apply decentralized architecture and becoming an invisible architect? Well, in my experience, it works better. In the short term, it's chaotic. It feels like you don't have control of anything. But in the midterm and in the long term, everything starts working fine, and I have seen it working quite well. And it gets better results on both business and technical sides, because technical debt is tackled, technical plans are getting done, and on the business side they know better about what's going on the technical. So I'm happy that actually I've been doing this for 10 years now, but it's becoming trendy. ThoughtWorks added this to their technology radar, to the latest one. They are calling this architecture advice process. There is also a consultant from ThoughtWorks, Andrew Harber-Lowe. They wrote a book about ADRs and then facilitating architecture around ADRs. This is also added to the InfoQ Trends report for 2025. It's called Socio-Technical Architecture. Again, fancy names, because nobody knows how to name this, right? And they also have ADRs there. So, yeah, it's something that people see that it's working better in the modern environments. I also have my own book that I'm writing at the moment. Should be ready for the summer, where I'm trying to also compile all the tools that are available and this practice, let's say, in a way that is tangible. So you can find the tools in there. There are like Miro templates, but you can use also, you can copy paste on your own tools as well. Notion, Workspace, I mean, it's a work in progress, but you can, let's say, use these things at work if you are interested at working in a decentralized software architecture mode. And yeah, that's it. I would be really happy if you reach out to me with any comments you may have, questions. And yeah, I will be taking questions, even if you are skeptical about it and you want to drop a comment about, that's fine. I'm open to that as well. Thank you.